Hello and welcome to the Daily Conjecture Blogcast. For those of you who have been following along, welcome back. I apologize for not having posted in the last few days. I actually went on a mini vacation. I had set up some fun. I had set aside some funds to be able to go stay at a hotel that's in town. And in order to get like a cashback bonus that I had on there. So yeah, I just because of my current living situation, I wanted to kind of treat myself. I wanted to relax. I was kind of getting stressed about some things, and it caused me to sort of not post in the last few days for one, but also I just simply wanted to be able to enjoy myself a few days, sleep, more comfortably than I normally do. I ended up bringing my computer, my desktop computer. Ended up, just enjoying my stay there, playing games and watching movies. And so in the last regular video, continuing the series that I made talking about managing time. So that will be perfect for me to be able to finally do the part two of that video. And of the few things that we mentioned in that episode were that time is linear and it is always moving forward. And how to find a balance between what being efficient and how being productive looks, or just how you're spending your time, and do you map it out? Do you write it down? Do you make a list? Do you put it on a calendar? Which kind of just brainstorming all possible avenues, ideas, thoughts, ways for you to be able to kind of visualize it. And of course, writing it down is one of the best things. Now, I will include a link in the description below for a video that I just watched just before I started recording this, so that it's all fresh in my mind, so that I'm able to kind of, the things that I took away from the video, and also so you can go and actually see, someone who's been doing this a while. It really interests me, being able to be real with yourself, be patient with yourself, but be real with yourself and just, say, I won't get this done unless I, do what I have to do. Either turn the TV or the computer off, turn the phone off, right? Put it on silent, put it on do not disturb. Whatever works for each individual person, but just in a general sense, limiting distractions is a big one. Especially for those of us that do find themselves surrounded with the phone, the computer, the TV, or even just being for those of us being in a lot of public settings. There's so much going on. Like you're just going about your day like you normally do, and you're out in the world, and you are there's your attention is constantly being it constantly shifts, and it's constantly being pulled in different directions, and your mind you're only focusing on certain things. You might only focus on one thing at a time, and it can very possibly get to a point where it feels like you're hyperactive, maybe there's ADHD, maybe there's it's just that attention span that if you're not mindful about it, then it can be tricky to hone in on the things that you want to do, the things that you set aside time. Like you think, and thinking ahead, you make however that looks for you. Like maybe you have a planner, maybe you have a calendar, something like that. Even on the phone, on the computer, you can still go on, especially with I think the way Google Calendar is set up is just with Google Calendars is that you can go in there and put an event for a day. You can put pretty much whatever you want. Like make a to-do list on there or something. Basically, just like put I have an appointment here, and just make sure it's on there. And then I think I don't know. I feel like it normally gives like an hour or so notice, maybe 2 hours. But and then another one that I feel like I have used in some jobs that I've worked for in the past, I guess, is an app or website, Calendly. So that's actually something I'm going to look into that and see if that's something that would be more helpful, more beneficial. I can just put everything in there. If I choose to like go that route, I'm not really sure. As for this content and what I've been doing so far, I have just basically all been writing it down in this notepad here. So basically have a page for each kind of subject, and there's little bits here and there. Some of them I haven't done anything with. But yeah, so as we can continue this going, I am absolutely still mindful of the original goal that I set when I first started doing the series of trying to post something every day. Of course, having a 4-day gap here is a bit much in terms of me wanting to like try to continue this on, try to move this along and see how it progresses. At the same time, I am trying to be a little more patient with myself and try not to make this feel like so pushed or forced, or that I'm obliged in the way that is going to cause me to be stressed or not get my point across. So it could very well be maybe very overthinking on some of these things. How my thought process is about this, like going into this being perhaps being a little again, maybe just a little hyperactive, or otherwise just trying to stretch out something to get the point across, and to provide, to make sure the time that's being spent is used in ways that you're providing value. So the few takeaways that I got from the video that will be in the description here from another channel, and he, at one point in the video, he even mentions like when his channel wasn't as successful as it is now. I believe I'll have to go back and look. You can see for yourself as well, but I'm sure from the looks of it, he's been doing content on YouTube for at least the last few years. I think he mentions toward the end of that video a book that he wrote on time management, so that would be interesting as well. Check that video out. I'll probably have to go back and see that and see if that's a book that would be beneficial, especially for me, trying to like keep this thing moving along and make sure that I'm managing my time well enough to have a more steady output. But yeah, so I think that, kind of as I've already mentioned, like those of us that are surrounded by so many different things, in the media and all the technology devices, all of the different kind of social social melting pot sort of different individuals, different people and different ideas, different values, different ways of thinking, and different opinions. All those things combine in this grand social network that we, at the end of the day, we can choose, what kind of groups we want to join on Facebook if they're a social group. On that note too, what platforms we want to use. We have that choice. The majority of us. I suppose just try to be careful. For parents, I imagine try to be careful about what they're exposing their kids to, in terms of just because of what types of content can come up on Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, even Facebook. I'm sure if you're not careful. However those sort of things work, how parents can monitor what their kids are being exposed to. So that's something to think about. And then on uploading videos, one of the first thing on the first section for details or description of your video, after you put in the title, after you put in the description, the very last thing it asks in the first section of uploading a video is whether or not it's for kids. And you could put yes, it's for kids, no, it's not for kids. Now, of course, I've been posting all of my videos as not for kids, including the Lego videos that I made. That being said, obviously I would love, it's Lego, young and old can both enjoy it. And of course, while it being primarily a toy, toys are for kids, so of course, and there is no, there's no I'm not saying anything in those videos that implies that, or not implies, but that just is not appropriate. That there's nothing like that, So it absolutely could be considered, or maybe would be considered content for kids. That being said, none of the material as of right now for this series, of course, is more. I say is more like a serious kind of discussion type things, at least so far, in terms of just the subject matter. And obviously, for that is its own thing with the Lego building and unboxing and bagging, is its own thing, and which is more of an entertainment type of a series, of course. And of course, I need to make the next video for that. I do have the set that I'm going to do for that. So if y'all are interested in that, I'll hope to I'll hope to do that soon here, so I can get that build on video, get that on the screen, and get that set out. I'm looking forward to it as well. I just am trying to basically come back to doing this and keep this stuff going. So, but for managing time, for continuing with this, in the video that will be in the description, I believe he mentions 10 tips for managing time. Basically, I just went and searched tips for managing time, and it came up, and some good stuff in there. Some good things to think about, but I will only really be talking about 3 that were the ones that I took away from that video. So the first is we own our time. Now, depending on what your values are, what you believe in, whether whether or not you attribute your time, your life to any kind of belief, anything in the spiritual realm, or just whatever it may be. And on that note too, if you want to just think about it in a simple sense, whatever you devote your time to, it becomes your your belief, your God, kind of, or especially talking about maybe not so much talking about it in the sense of that's what it means, but for those that have that affiliation with devoting their time to a God or something like that, you could absolutely take that and just in a general sense say, well, I'm spending a lot of my time, whatever it is, I'm on this project. I'm spending a lot of time at my job. I spend a lot of time, with my family. I spend a lot of time, making videos or playing video games. I spend a lot of time watching TV, whatever it may be. Maybe spend a lot of time going out, right? Maybe you spend a lot of time consuming a certain food or drink, and so that is, that's the most basic way to think about it. Is you own your time in the way of however you're spending your time is essentially how you're choosing it, and of course that is in the case of being free to make those choices. For those out there that are perhaps under some type of oppressive whether it be like a more oppressive, like a regime, government, dictatorship, totalitarian, anything like that, or simply in a abusive, oppressive relationship, something like that, where it is not so clear in that moment that they have choice, how to spend their time, and as sad as it is, going that far to that extreme, being under an abusive, repressive type of person, looming down on you, and it doesn't necessarily become clear that you have the choice to walk away, right? That you have the choice to choose to spend your time in a different manner, and that's why they say you want to surround yourself with people who want the best for you, who actually care, who aren't going to use you, and who aren't just bad individuals, malicious, rude, selfish, complaining types of people. All of this is going to, form you in some way. And on that note too, if you let for that type of situation, for those types of behavior, those bad attitudes, what does that look like? What does that look like for you? For any of you out there who have experienced or are experiencing anything like that, where you're trying to figure out how you want to go about handling any of those types of situations, either with people, with your boss, in relations, friends, family, boss, or anything like that. Any of you who'd like to share an experience like that, please leave a comment below. I'd like to know. And I think that it is an absolute gift, free will. It is absolutely a gift. It's for those who struggle to see it in that moment, or it's just a matter of over time. At some point, it might just click in your brain. A light bulb just goes off in your brain. Do I have to do this? Do I have to spend my time this way? Maybe I should be doing something else. Maybe, I don't think this is good. I don't think I want this anymore. And then you simply make a change. You simply walk away. You eliminate that factor. You cut ties with that potentially toxic person, if that is the case. And it's important to do that with yourself too, in the way of sort of cutting ties with that thought process. I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to change. I want to be better. I want to learn. I want to progress. I want to do things that will be more meaningful, will further me toward my my goals, my whatever it is, career, social life, skills that you want to learn. So it's definitely all good to think about. Own your time. And I, of course I have to bring this up as well, in the workplace, how that plays out, and just in a general sense. Are you working a job you don't like, or is it not as fruitful as you would like it to be? These, all good things to think about, especially in the workplace, because if you are not getting the results that you'd wish, then I suppose the most logical thing, well, I guess two things are: is there a way to make a change in the workplace that will help you get the results that you want? Well, I guess three things technically. So, can you make a change on the job, on the workplace? Can you change? Are you willing to change? Gain a different mindset, right? Gain a different perspective. Lose the bad attitude. Don't, instead of complaining, try to find solutions. What is that solution? Is it the third thing, which is walk away, which is leave, quit that job, get a different one? So I'm looking. I truly want to help people understand how the importance of choice, the power of your choice, and the power of your words, the power of your speech, the power of your action, the power that comes from just, it's not comfortable, it's absolutely, going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to be afraid what's going to happen, to an extent, or especially if it comes to with jobs, right? With sort of that kind of, I wouldn't even say fear, but maybe just discomfort, just the sort of from switching a job, or having that security at a job, which might be your primary, your priority, and then you're like, but I hate the job, it's unpleasant, and these things kind of battle each other, and then again, at the end of the day, you will be making a choice, as far as whatever that looks like, to you, whether it's stay at the job you don't like, because you have to take care of your family, that's choosing that. But then, don't let it get to a place where, you start being resentful toward your family, like, oh, the only reason why I'm doing this job I hate is because of my family, or because I have to take care of my, wife and kids, or husband and kids, whatever it may be. You do not want it to get to that point, because then you really have to ask yourself, what's the point? What is the point at that stage? Like, if it is, that severe, then absolutely make a change for the better, for your own health, and for the betterment of your family, if that is the situation. But yeah, I think about that a lot, and it's been in basically every job I've ever worked at. You just have to wonder that sometimes, when people, myself, there have been a handful of jobs that I've walked out on. It's not ideal, especially in the more, having a better work ethic of, putting a notice in, letting somebody know I'm not feeling it, I have to quit, or in the event that you get a better job, right? That is a positive change. In those moments, then, maybe it's better paying job, a job that is in the trade, that you, that you're going for, that you want to follow it as a career path. Might be a bigger learning curve, might be, considerably more, require more, considerably more brain power, right? to be able to perform the job, to be able to do the job correctly and efficiently, and sometimes those things can, excuse me, sometimes those thoughts can, or just because, like, sometimes that reality can be daunting, and sometimes you can be very doubtful, be very hesitant. But then you still, like, once you're finishing up the old job, you're about ready to go into the new job, and however that transition looks, you want to, if at all possible, and if it makes sense, to end on a good note at the old job, so that you can transition into the new job being confident, being headstrong, and so that is probably one of the biggest things, with understanding how to manage your time, how you're spending your time. The second takeaway from that video is, how much is your time worth? And I absolutely thought of me doing this series, when that part of the video comes up, that tip, how much is your time worth, is the way I think about it, or at least especially with this, is me not just spending the time doing the content, but also doing probably getting better at preparing and planning, getting resources, being able to expand on ideas in a more fluid manner, that will be much more beneficial than if I go into it not having planned at all. And because this is pretty just off the cuff, just more of a free speech, kind of just having a set of general ideas, or making a list of kind of general things, and then me trying to expand upon those, each of those things individually, giving ideas, proposing possible solutions, different ways to think about things, is entirely the point of this series. So, how much is your time worth it? Are you, perhaps someone that doesn't value their time as much is more likely to maybe stay at this job that they don't particularly like, even though it is paying the bills and providing them with a comfortable life. And again, depending on the situation, if you have a family, but at some point in your life, I mean, I've experienced it, like, at some point you will start questioning what you're doing. You're gonna start feeling, you might start feeling, down about it. You're just questioning if you're being complacent in life. You're being stagnant. You're not moving up. You're not going for the things that you want to. It can absolutely get to a place like that, where you start to live in this sort of comfortable, convenient manner that prevents you from doing these more risky, uncomfortable things, getting yourself out there, in order to get you to the place that you want to be. So that I've said it in at least the majority of the videos I've already done so far. I'll say it in this one. I'll continue to say it. Anything that I'm saying in a manner that I'm using the words "you" or proposing something to others, I'm absolutely also saying to myself as well. So, because there have absolutely been times in my life where I had to question, like, how I value myself. Was I valuing my time Am I choosing to spend my time doing things that are, more temporary pleasures, more just, they're meaningless in the bigger picture, long term, in the way that those, small moments, they might, and, especially like depending on how frequent, right? You utilize you're depending on how frequent you're spending your time doing those things is, it's going to add up, and it's going to, and again, it could very well get to a point where you are like, you ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? How am I spending my time? So it's big. It's, and it can potentially even result in you making a drastic change. So, yeah, for those of you out there who maybe have made a drastic change recently, or are considering doing it, absolutely leave a comment below. Definitely, try to gain some resources to see what that type of change will look like for you. The third is be satisfied with, well, I kind of I reworded this one, which I believe was the last tip on the video that I'll have in the description. Be satisfied with real effort, with whatever, like having that goal, and then whatever that looks like for you in terms of completing it, setting aside time to complete it, planner, if you write it down, calendar, on your phone, post-it notes, right? Maybe if you have a significant other, like, kind of be like an accountability partner, that kind of thing, to give you that reminder and say, hey, you're gonna go and do this today, or hey, did you do this? Something like that. Otherwise, all on you in the way of making, starting off with smaller goals, which we did talk about in one of the past episodes. But being satisfied with real effort and what that produces is key, and you should getting into that kind of a process and having that be a consistent thing will absolutely, it's gonna elevate you. And again, I'm absolutely speaking to myself as well in terms of staying motivated to keep this series going, and being able to share ideas, and to learn, to be good, to be better, to progress, to do the things you want to do. But yeah, being satisfied with real effort, and not beating yourself up, and being healthy to yourself, being loving to yourself. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm not sure why I'm yawning, and so I don't even feel tired necessarily. I just, hey, I guess that's what happens after a few days of taking it easy, and you come back into it, and you gotta wake up. So, I think that, I know that I've experienced moments where I questioned how much effort I was putting into it, and then seeing the results, perhaps coming out not so great, maybe they're more subpar results, and then kind of, making that correlation in my mind, like, well, yeah, I can do better. I can do better next time. I mean, one example, which is pretty simple, but like, if you, let's say you go to write a, if I go to like the guitar to write a riff, come up with something to, potentially, like, I'll just come up with something, or I'll think of a melody, try to take it to the instrument, and then depending on what it is, if it's something more difficult, or if as I'm, experimenting, seeing how I want it to sound, maybe I want to try to do something that might be more difficult, and then when you go to play it, maybe you go to record it, you go to listen to it, listen to that recording, and you can hear, missed notes, or just, otherwise, it doesn't sound exactly how you want it to be. You just keep perfecting it. You keep, you get into the mindset of like being content with the good work you're doing, while also trying to critique yourself, in order to like make it the best that it can be, for what it is, for in time of life that you're in, to hopefully turn into something good, something positive, and worthwhile for you, for everyone else that is interested. That will conclude part 2 for managing time. I absolutely look forward to expanding on anything that I said in either this video or the last, as well as looking forward to getting back into this, pumping out some more of this content. And on that note too, I am looking into potentially getting my own space. I'm super looking forward to that. Basically just waiting on the call from the gentleman I spoke with earlier about potentially getting my own space, instead of having to basically rent out, or library, anything like that. I'll have an actual space. I'll be able to have, it should produce just drastic improvement, and so here's to hoping that goes well. I again, hope to hear from him hopefully sometime this weekend, to see if it will work out, and if it does, my plans right now are to get into that, be able to start there on July 1st. So it's basically getting through maybe another week here, of the last week of June, and then potentially having a more permanent and better setup. And so I hope it goes well. And again, it will provide me with, it will get me in my mind. It will help me and motivate me to improve upon this content, better camera and audio gear, just better gear in general, so I can slowly start adding little pieces here and there, to get better and better. And there's some other things that I'd really love to be able to do as well, in this series, and in adding on to some other things as well. So super looking forward to that. Thank you all for watching. Anything at all you'd like to leave in the comments below, by all means. Again, all I ask is you just ask yourself, are you being helpful or hurtful? And if it is a critique on my part, to me, by all means, I'd love to know how I can improve, get better, and again, and if it's just making sense, right? But again, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.